Time.
Yep. Hello and welcome everybody to the February 3rd Octant community meeting. February. Is that how you spell February?
Yeah.
Huh. It's like different than January. It just, when you see January and February together, it looks, yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. It looks like to be a short one today. Mainly, I wanted to talk about the one outstanding blocking issue and for the next release, and then kind of go over what's still in the project board that's in progress. So I'll just get started with the preferences persistence. So we landed a new PR just recently that pull it up so folks can see it. It's here somewhere. I could search for it. That would be easier, but yeah, I'll just search. Why am I doing this? Preferences. Did I spell that right? I think so. There we go. So this is the PR we landed. It adds some general preferences for like light and dark theme and navigation being collapsed and expanded. It also will by default now use your desktop theme setting. Like if you have a dark mode set on Mac or Windows, it'll infer that and use it by default. So that got merged in. There was some work that was done previously when we were first looking at Electron, where we created some Electron settings using SD Electron, and that's going to go away essentially. And so we opened up an issue to do the persistence for these various things. We had a couple different methods of how we were storing things, and there's like some back-end storage for the original Electron stuff because it was all done in Go. There was Electron Store, which was added to I believe for storing the well, we have a link to it right here. I'm pretty sure it's system tray. Yeah. So the Electron Store for system tray and prompting of like, how do you want to minimize? What do you want to happen when you close or minimize Octant? I created a state.json file that for remembering the window size and position. You get the point. It's kind of a little over the place. So we want to make sure that we collect these areas where we're capturing various client-side state into a single place. And I think, yeah, I think we're going to end up using Electron Store since it was already introduced. We'll migrate this front-end proxy URL setting over, and then we'll also migrate the window application stuff over, and it'll all be under Electron Store. So, which I think in the back end, Electron Store is just creating a JSON file that it's wrapping as, or maybe it's local storage, but I know it's a JSON file, right?
It's not local storage. It's just a special wrapper that does like just make sure like the transactions to the config file are more fault tolerant.
Yeah. So basically, it's what I should have used when I did the window size preference or window remembering stuff. So that's that issue there, I believe, is the only unstarted blocking issue. These two issues that are in progress by me are Windows related. One is that it failed to start on Windows because we introduced timestamping to the log files, and there was a colon in the name. Windows does not support colons in file names, and so it was just kind of bailing out there. So I have a PR coming that will handle a bailout on the logs a little more gracefully, because it was you would double click and nothing would happen. You just literally like you would get you're just like, where's it at? And then you would look in the system tray or like in your process viewer, and there would just be instances of it running with an error message that had been thrown out and not handled. So cleaning that up, and then also cleaning up the Octant process that gets launched by Electron to fetch data from the Kubernetes API. It was not getting properly shut down under Node.js. And doing some research there, most people resorted to doing an exec call to task kill and passing the PID directly into there. I experimented with that and it works. So these two will be fixed today, and then we'll be getting started on the Electron storage. The Monaco editor was merged in just recently, about an hour ago. So that's all functioning now under all three environments. So we are, release is imminent at this point. I think the last thing is there's some testing work and like a icon size issue that needs to be fixed up for our system tray. That is, it's actually, it made me laugh when I saw it. I don't know. I just think it's really funny how big the system tray icon got on Mac, but Milan put a screenshot in there and you can see it's the Octant logo, but it like fills to the entire empty space of the system tray. So it actually is the logo, but I don't think that was our desired result is not to fill your entire system tray with the Octant logo, even if I think it's funny. So yeah, that is, I think it left for Electron. Our build pipeline is in place. I guess it'd be good to cover. So this next release, if you currently use like a package manager or anything like that, there'll be no expected changes there. We're still going to go and by default install the binary, the CLI option, but we're going to be either we haven't talked as a team about how we want to proceed with getting people over to the Electron build and eventually phasing out the distribution of the CLI binary in any of our package management places and like in things like that. We do have to work on getting our Mac binary signed before we can fully deprecate the CLI that we ship. So that is something that we're going to be putting in flight right after we release ODOT 17. We'll try to keep as we get information on what the plan is for that and what like the deprecation and migration strategy is going to look like, we'll be sure to share that out and create discussions around it or issues. Because I think right now we still don't know. The goal right now is just to get a release tag that contains the Electron assets and encourage folks to just essentially manually move over. But likely a lot of people will just continue to use their package manager. So we'll have to figure out what it means to change the behavior there. Anyone want to add anything to that before I move on?
Yeah, speaking of package managers, we're gonna have to rewrite that brew formula or start a cask, whichever one seems more reasonable. I don't have strong opinions. It might be a little jarring to all of a sudden do brew update and have a completely different application. But then again, we are using this as the standard. So if we are going to say that we're going to abandon brew, then we're just kind of saying like that web service is just gone. Like we're just never going to publish on brew again, which would be the alternative.
Yeah, I don't know enough about casks. I know we have this one in the sprint. Our casks essentially is it like is that to install like proper applications instead of a CLI tool?
I mean, those are just conventions. I don't know off the top of my head on which one is which. I mean, the easiest way to think about it is just like it's literally another link that you ask. It's kind of like a mini repository that you ask Brew to look up. So it would be one just specifically for Octant.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good. I think that's just an area we'll have to research more then and find out. But I think that for this release, this we'll update the formulas, and everything will be behave as people have had it behaving for the previous release. And then maybe in the formula itself, can we spit out, is it possible to spit out deprecation messages and formulas?
Yeah, I mean, we can do
Yeah, because
anything
it's
we
just
want in
console, right?
formulas.
Yeah. So I think that might be a good first step, is to just start making noise in any of the package managing tools that say um like upcoming versions of Octant, or like the CLI version. I don't know. We'll have to come up with language around it, but some way to probably like make a blog post, update the formulas, and like talk about what it like when people could expect that to change, like for O.18 or probably O.19 or whatever. Because eventually we would not have I guess the brew formula can still just install the Electron application, right? I think that's the point of the cask, right? Is that it just installs the
Right.
app. Yeah.
There would just be two spots, right? One would be, or there could be potentially two, or we could just jam it and make it only one place.
Yeah. I think long term it'll be one place. Mid and like as we deprecate, there might be two. One yelling loudly about the fact that it's no longer going to be updated or supported, and then eventually we would just remove it.
Yeah, or other platforms like Windows, or what's the other one? The other hipster, not it's hold on, it's on our README. It's what's it called? Not the cask. It's Scoop. Yeah, Scoop. Those are, there's no alternative, right? So if we move over, it's literally just pointing to the GitHub artifact.
Okay.
So those are easier to do, but still, I don't know if you can do deprecation warnings on those though. Those might be a little bit different.
Okay. We might maybe yeah, I wonder if you can. Yeah, we'll just have to research it. I think like ideally I would like it to be something where you could either have a warning in place, and then we have two, which is like scoop install Octant with a big warning that says this is going away. Use scoop install Octant dash desktop or something like that instead, right? Like here's the alternative one. And then eventually scoop install Octant goes away and then gets replaced. So we would end up with two, but they would be mirrors of each other. Like that would be a way to still have scoop install Octant, and like that. Anyway, that's just one migration strategy I can think of, is like just having a different name while we deprecate and migrate.
Are you thinking doing that for 0.17 or next release?
I think it's worth looking at for O.17 just to see if there's like what at least investigate taking some time after we publish the release on GitHub, because normally there's like a bit like a day of like us going, like we publish and then we go and we make sure it's good, and then we go and update all the package managers. And I think in that process of kind of letting like in the process of going to update package managers, we can do like what is the work involved to like do this. And if it's relatively like some of these I've investigated at 0%. So some of these might even have deprecation and migration strategies in their docs, right? Like here's how, if you're replacing your thing with a new thing, here's how we recommend doing it on Chocolatey or with Homebrew or whatever. Like I haven't even looked into it. So I doubt that's the case, but I think it's worth investigating, and then we can take it from there. And if we don't start it for 017, we would start it in 018.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so that's kind of the status of Electron right now. And so it's imminent, as mentioned, and we are, I'll put this project board right into here so people can see it. Oops. There we go. Octant capitalization and app menu. So
Yes, I put that in. I noticed there is only one place where O is small caps in the menu, and I was wondering what is the reason behind that.
I don't know. I don't even know where it is you're talking about. So
Yeah.
So if you start the Electron app,
uh-huh.
At least on Mac, the like main window has like a menu at the top, and the Octant is first item on the left, on top left, and that is small, spelled with a small O.
Hold on. Let's see. So fire up the Electron app. I have the Electron app fired up. I'll share it. Hold on. Stop this. Share this. Let's see. Screen share. There we go. Okay.
Oh, looks different. So it's only Mac issue.
Okay. You're talking about, is it this, the corner up here?
No. It's actually yeah. It's something you don't see on Windows, actually. Let me share my screen.
Sure, yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm glad I asked now. I thought it was a silly question, but maybe it's not.
Never any silly questions.
Do you see? Oh, you don't see it, right? I'm only sharing the window. I need to share my desktop.
I see. Oh, it's in like the menu bar where it's lowercase?
Right. Do you see it?
No. Everything I see is uppercase.
Okay. Let me share the whole desktop then.
Man, the font rendering in Mac is so much better. It's better than Linux. It's better than Windows. It's so much better.
Okay, let me share my desktop. So if I go to Octant, see.
Oh, I see now. In the top left of the
Right.
yeah. Okay. Of Apple's bar, it's lowercase. Interesting. And so like if you switch to like other tools, that's capital. Like if you're on Chrome or Firefox, it's capitalized.
So yeah, Zoom is small letters too, but Slack is capital letters. So there you go.
I don't know that we should use Zoom for our bar of quality, but
Right.
we could say that it's okay. We open an issue for it. It won't be a blocking issue, but it's something that we can look at. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's a blocking. Do you think it should block?
Absolutely not. No,
Okay.
I was just curious. Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
It seems that it should be capitalized, but
I would think
probably
so.
not a major issue, as you said.
All right. Well, I think that covers it for this one. I know last time we talked about kind of what was coming in the future, so I don't want to do that again in this meeting. We'll probably do it after the release, so for the next meeting. So any other open Q&A questions or anything anyone else wanted to share before we call it?
Yeah, I got two things to share.
Oh,
So I'm currently working on our test pipeline for the Electron build. I've gotten Karma to work with our component library. So instead of using the Chrome driver, you could just spin all of the components up in Electron, which is the first piece. And then the second piece is going to be using Spectron to smoke test, because you actually can't run any of the code in main using Karma, because they import node modules, right? So in other words, it's code that's sandboxed to the browser. And now you have node, which is code that is not, and it's expected to run on your operating system. So so it just won't let you. The test runner will just fail in various ways, and you will be sad. So I've moved over to Spectron, which in turn made me make some other decisions that I won't go into now, but I'm basically using Mocha for the Spectron as alongside with Spectron as the test runner. And then that's going to be used as a smoke test to check that we're actually creating windows. So like an Electron window, and we're actually tearing them down. There's currently some issues with Spectron starting up the Octant sub process. So that's actually blocking on this end. I could combine it with a system tray menu or not. I think it's just going to be the test component to the system tray have. So I've so far just been adding that same level of work here. Other things that we haven't, or at least it's like a 3-line fix, but like something you might notice is if you try to open a new link in the Electron application, it opens as a new Electron window, whereas we wanted to open it as part of the default browser. And so you just have to capture the window event and do like a shell open type thing instead of open URL instead of letting Electron do whatever it wants by default.
is that something we'll have to target for every URL? Like what I mean is, in the case of like, because internally we're using links to like open a deployment from a table, for example. Will it just know that it's external by default, or will we have to be like anywhere it is external, apply this?
Yeah, it knows it's external, right? So, and also like, if you kind of think about it, right, like Octant is really just a single page application. Like it's not like the URL is changing in the browser, but it's not like actually like flipping through a different page. And I think that's at least that's my theory on what's happening versus something like, say, port forwarding. If you click something that's localhost to a different port, it will just take you somewhere else. And presumably for something like, say, Jenkins X, where it might link them back to whatever pipeline is running on whatever their service, the expectation there is to just throw them in the browser instead of showing up in Octant. There's also just a ton of like really annoying side things, like I think when you ask for like a prompt when you're closing, right? But like that's really annoying in a testing environment. So I'm gonna have to like start coordinating like enablement and disablement of certain features in a test environment. So there's like a lot that's happening implicitly that will happen in due time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just to show for those who haven't seen it, let's see. I think I can show kind of what Sam was talking about here. I share my whole screen, and then I had started a port forward. Now if I click this, it pops up in this little embedded Electron window instead of in the browser. So that's what Sam's referring to. Also, yeah, things like prompts are annoying for testing purposes. I agree. So I think there's a way. I hope there's a way we can like isolate it so that it's, I don't know, maybe we can think about a little offline, just like how we might isolate that specific behavior so that it's doesn't have to be factored as part of like normal test runs. All right. I think that's it. So with that, unless anyone has any final things, we'll call it early.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone.